So once again I'm fighting against a big rush box, but this rush box is pretty unique, or at least compared to a lot of rush boxes you run into this season. Q-Taru does have a lot of what you typically see. He has Reen, Ares, the two Bozos, Illustrial. But I think the interesting thing about his inclusion of Illustrial is that his box is basically a half Strategic Masters box. So you can see Lamford here to buff the team, and Illustrial, Olivier, Clotaire, and Florentia are all Strategic Masters characters. So Q-Taru starts by banning Juggler and then banning Rosenseal right after. So of course I have to be careful of the AoE strategy here. I ban Reen plus Leonhardt. Leonhardt isn't considered super strong anymore by a lot of players, but I still find him quite threatening myself. 2 AoEs in a row is still a lot to deal with sometimes. And the other thing about Leonhardt is that he can be kind of annoying to kill if he teleports in. So since I'm busy banning so many of Q-Taru's AoE characters, he gets to pick his very strong single target characters. He has Illustrial, who as always is going to be pressuring me like crazy, and he gets a buff on Illustrial via Lamford. Lamford can be kind of scary sometimes because people run Lancer tanks now, and he has a couple options for his soldier choices to get rid of any cavalry troops that a Lancer tank might throw in front of themselves. For example, a Lamford with Amazons out front actually can hit Lancer Landius with Royal Calves really hard, possibly even one-shot depending on the stats we're talking about. But Q-Taru decides that Lamford is going to be using Berserkers here. Now of course Barbarian Warriors are the superior choice for Lamford nowadays if you want to go infantry soldiers on him. But of course those troops are very new, so nobody really has them trained yet. I'm sure even Lamford superfans are probably having a hard time deciding whether it's worth the materials when there's so many other nodes to be training right now. So as you can probably tell, my biggest threat here is really Illustrial. Everything else I think I can reasonably tank, except for Deedlit. Deedlit is just going to blow up Landius pretty easily. But of course Illustrial is my biggest issue here because Q-Taru pick banned in such a way that I am stuck with 2 DPS that cannot take an assassin hit very well at all. Ares of course is a flyer, he's just going to get shot down by Illustrial very easily. And Rachel is Rachel, so she is bad at taking any hits. Now in this case I actually did bring Wind Whisper on Ares. Most Illustrials, including Q-Taru's, have very low HP because they'll be equipping Twilight Star. So that's why you saw Q-Taru run Illustrial back on turn 1. He probably didn't want to risk that I would play aggressively and maybe just kill his Illustrial. Because if I can take out his Illustrial, this fight of course becomes a very straightforward tank versus tank fight. And Rachel could ignore Estelle and kill everybody around her. But of course, as per usual with my playing style, I'm the one who gets initiated on. Olivier comes in and hits me with 2 pretty good AoEs here. Of course, Olivier has a huge attack bonus when he's at 100% life. So I have to burn my heals very quickly to prevent my team from dying. And that's not going to be any good for me to stop this Deedlit from coming in and taking out Landius very easily. So now I feel like I have no choice but to engage with Ares. Now you might be thinking I'm moving Ares in a very weird way here. But the reason I do this is because, first of all, I cannot reach Q-Taru's Illustrial because, like I said, he knew the limitations of his Illustrial, so he kept him out of my range. But I moved through Deedlit here so that Ares could get a talent stack. Otherwise, Ares wouldn't have been able to run back the way I did. And I want to lure in his Illustrial as close as possible if I can. Lamford follows up, takes out Landius. So Landius didn't really do a whole lot in this fight, but wasting 2 attacks is pretty good already. I try to see if my Layden can kill this Deedlit the rest of the way, and he decides to be very bad and misses the kill. And as expected, Q-Taru waited until the last move to bring in Illustrial to keep her safe. He actually attacks Rachel with a normal attack, and as you can see, this was nearly enough to kill Rachel, just barely missing a kill there. So in this case, he probably went for Rachel instead of Ares because Ares already blew his load, so it's not like Ares is really threatening him that much at this point. So I heal Rachel back up with Scythe. So here I again my Rachel because I want to threaten Q-Taru and kind of scare him into killing my Rachel, which is exactly what he does. And of course Rachel cannot take this hit at all. But what this does do is, because he moved his Estelle so close to me, I can just walk Layden right next to her and lock her down. So that allows me to finally take out Illustrial. And you can see that Illustrial here, because she has the Wolf Riders, she has no melee penalty on grasslands. So just watch Ares nearly killing himself while attacking Illustrial here. So thanks to that one little mishap from Q-Taru, this has become an advantageous position for me now. I still have a tank and a healer and a DPS, and I can pretty much just kill him through attrition at this point. So Lamford, unfortunately, even though he's a pretty good buffer and he makes everybody else stronger, if he doesn't have class advantage, he usually can't really bust the tank. So Layden's not going to have too much trouble tanking him. So the rest of the match is just going to be me slowly shaving his HP away. Still, it was definitely an interesting match. And it's still pretty cool to run into players that are using strategic masters, even this high up in the ladder.